Hi Leanne, here's the feedback on the reading paper of the recent mock that you did. So you've scored the full 4 marks for question 1, so that's a good start. So if we move on to question 2 now, which is the question that asks you to look at how the writer uses language to describe the effect of the storm. You've made some good use of the subject terminology, most of which is accurate, and you've included a quote for each of your points. However, the analysis of the language used is a bit basic, really. You need to develop that a little bit more to gain better marks. I think looking at it as it is now, it's going to be 2 out of the possible 8 marks for this question. You need to be explaining what the verbs are actually making you feel, or the words are making you feel, sorry. So, for example, the use of the verb lashing could suggest that the wind is whipping the trees as if trying to destroy the land. You could also have written about the furious waves, suggesting that the waves were really angry. It's wild and angry and aggressive and is crashing against the rocks. And the ocean is roaring, it's making it sound like it's a wild animal attacking the land in a mad way. So it is improving. You are putting some analysis of the effects in, but we need to try and tweak it a little bit more to get you some higher marks there. Moving on to question 3, which is where you're asked to analyse how the text is structured to interest you as a reader. Unfortunately, most of what you've written would be better suited to an answer to the previous question, question 2, because you've analysed the language used and you've talked about the punctuation and the sentence structure, which really comes into the words and phrases and structure in question 2, not how the overall text has been structured. For this, you would need to look at how it's been separated into 2 parts, really. The first part is when we're introduced to Alex, and the first sentence gives us the time and the place. We know that it's at dawn and he's in bed and he's just woken up. And we learn all about his dream or his nightmare. And then the second part is when we meet the rest of his family and we see him interacting with them. We also learn that Alex is having a bad day already, but that there have been a lot of bad days since his mum got ill, and that's important because that's the first time that we know that his mum is ill. And then the nightmare begins to make sense then, and we realise that things are going to go from bad to worse, and Alex is scared of losing his mum. Then we have the dialogue between Alex and his sisters, and then it moves on and it goes back to just Alex again when he's reminiscing about the things that he liked about his mum, and then finally sums up the fact that she's like a ghost. So she's not really participating in family life anymore. So that's what it means by structure. It's looking at the who, where, what, why, when and how that we find out about all the different things, and looking at the beginning, the middle and the end, and how it kind of weaves in and out, focusing on the bigger picture and coming into the nitty gritty and then perhaps going back out again. So unfortunately I can't really give you any marks for this question because you've not really talked about the structure, so you've not answered the question. Okay, moving on to question 4, where you're asked to what extent do you agree with the statements that part of the story shows that Alex is struggling to cope with his mother's illness. So you say he's struggling to cope because he's not in the mood to applaud his father's efforts at making pancakes because he's missing his mum's pancakes, which is a fair comment. So you're asked to consider your own impressions of Alex and evaluate how the writer shows that Alex is struggling to cope. So this is asking you to look at the methods that the writer is using to show he's not coping. and also support your response with references to the text. So here you said Alex is snapping using simple sentence and saying shut up Nicole. So there is an example of you showing the methods that the writer is using, and your explanation is that he doesn't want to talk about his mum because he doesn't not going to like what they're going to say. So it's a good point. You've considered all 3 bullet points in there. This one says he's worried about his mum and struggling with life. It's the one that says that he's angry. And again here with the simple sentence and short sharp question and answers gives you a sense of an unsettled, worried environment. And there's a quote there, and then this sentence tells you that Alex is older and understands life and what's going to happen. He's not ready to accept that his mum's going to die. He doesn't want life to change. And you've summed it up with he's struggling to hold his feelings and anger about the mum from the others within the family. So if we look now at the mark scheme, if we start off looking at level 1, make simple, limited, evaluative comments on the effects on the reader, and shows limited understanding of writer's methods. Select simple, limited textual references and make simple, limited response to the focus of the statement. I think you've met all of those and a little bit more. So if we move up to level 2, make some evaluative comments on the effects on the reader. Well, you have done that. Show some understanding of writer's methods. Well, again, you've done that once or twice. Select some appropriate textual references, that's your quotes, and make some response to the focus of the statements. This is where you've said you've reinforced the fact that he's struggling, so you've done it there, and you've started off saying that. So I think it's going to be in level 2, not quite at the top. So I think if we say it's 8 out of the possible 20 for that question, that gives you an overall score of 14 out of 40 for the reading part of the exam, which is still not too bad a score. It's not quite at the level 4, but I don't think it's too far off, and we've got some time left to continue working on it. So I think if you can keep attending sessions and the booster sessions and going to work with study services in A23, there's no reason why you shouldn't get up to getting that level 4, possibly a level 5, if not higher. So keep up the good work and don't give up. You're doing well.